is represented on this platform. God, I pray that everything that is said will be a fragrant offering to your nostrils. Thank you, Father, for your Son Jesus, and it's His name that I pray. Amen. You're listening and watching Level Up, Real Talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Dexter Moore of Dexter Moore Jazz. Real talk that takes you higher. Level up on Sundays from 3 to 6 p.m. Ordinary people with extraordinary stories.
Nothing excites me more than to see children read the books that I illustrated and helped bring to life. You know, it's the process from start to finish, and you know, at the finish line, you see the children smiling and excited and sharing the stories with other children about, you know, an image or a book that they read. Another thing that gives me joy is working with new and upcoming writers, people who have all these stories that they want to tell, and things that they want to share with the world, just like, me wanting to express myself as an artist and, share my expressions. People are doing the same thing with their stories, and to help, I feel like I'm helping making their dream come true. Help.
What you want, baby, I got what you need. You know I got it. All I'm asking for the respect when you get home. Hey, baby, when you come home, darling, I'm every woman. It's all in me. I can read your thoughts right now. Everyone from A to Z.
Energy that I feel in me, repping the Trinity is gonna make the enemy wanna give back. I'm in the zone like a fire in my bones. When you hear it in my song, don't tell me, do you feel that? Hey, don't tell me, do you feel that? Do you feel that? Tell me, do you feel that? Hey, don't tell me, do you feel that? Do you feel that? Do you feel that? Hey, don't tell me, do you feel that? Do you feel that? Tell me, do you feel that? Hey, don't tell me, do you feel that? Do you feel that? Do you feel that? Yeah, Holy Spirit coming clean on the scene with a flow so mean. Don't tell me, do you feel that? Gotta give a praise up, no blood, going hard for the team. Don't tell me, do you feel that? Hey, don't tell me, do you feel that? Do you feel that? Tell me, do you feel that? Hey, don't tell me, do you feel that? Do you feel that? Do you feel that? Hey. Flow so mean.
Introducing Rain Premium Sanitary Napkin. Rain has an innovative design that is made with a strip infused with Nobel Prize-winning material, graphene. The infused graphene strip may provide various health benefits that potentially help relieve painful abdominal cramps, help balance the body's pH, help eliminate harmful bacteria, help with aroma, help fight fatigue, boost metabolism, boost immune system. Graphene moves heat away from your core and contains vibrational energy. In this test, we will add water to the graphene strip and then place a 7-watt light bulb onto the strip to demonstrate the level of energy contained. These medical claims have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended. Precious jewel in the world, you. For more information, contact the person who referred you to this video. Rain is exclusively designed by Jewel Sanitary Napkins, LLC.
It's your girl, Minister April Aland Sitmanat, the spiritual soldier. And let's level up on Sundays from 3 to 6 p.m.
Hey, this is Constance. Level Up. Check them out every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m.
Hey guys, it's your girl V Speak Life, reminding you to speak life, not strife. Right now, I want you to get inspired with Level Up, real talk that takes you higher. Sundays from 3 to 6 p.m. on.
My name is Jay Hagler of Diving with a Purpose. Level up each and every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m. Don't touch that dial.
And welcome back to Level Up, real talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. Welcome, welcome, welcome back, everyone. And thank you guys for hanging out with us this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Hey, Mix 106 radio listener. Sorry. Don't laugh at me, Mr. Scribe. Hey, listen, everybody who is watching on YouTube and Facebook, welcome, welcome, welcome back. I see a lot of you guys that are saying welcome back to us. Yes, we took a 3-week vacation just to make sure that everyone was well rested and ready for the new year. What I would like to do, first of all, I want to give a couple of shout outs to some people that are already on. Of course, the very first person, Mr. Scribe, I know she was waiting. That is Doris Walker. Thank you, Ms. Doris. Always. Thank you, Ms. Doris, for tuning in. Also want to give a shout out to a Cheryl Kendrick, who is giving a shout out to you, Miss Charisse. He's like, hey, how you doing? Janet Vining, thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much, girl. Hey, Charmaine, thank you for tuning in. Also, PC Battle, they're saying, hey, Charisse, how are you doing? So Charisse got a couple of her friends tuning in, and that is very, very exciting. So let's get right into our conversation. What I would like to do, Mr. Scribe, I am going to actually start with Mr. Al Vivian. Mr. Al Vivian, we're going to read some of your bio, okay? Just so
Okay.
some of our people will know who you are and know why, you're such an extraordinary man. Let me tell you guys about Mr. Al Vivian, President and CEO of Basic Diversity, Inc. Over the past 25 years, Al Vivian has been working actively as a trainer and consultant to numerous Fortune 500 companies, government agencies, professional firms, nonprofit, and academic institutions. Al has provided services on 3 different continents. His client list include Bank of America, Coca-Cola, Delta Airlines, Ford Motor Company, Walmart, the U.S. Army, and the World Bank. He is regularly sought after by media to provide diversity insights and analysts. Media outlets include CNN, USA Today, New York Times, Atlanta Journal and Constitution, uh, the Chicago Sun-Times, and WSB Radio News. Well, Mr. Vivian, you have been quite active. Quite. But
I
before
try to
we
be.
get into all of what you are doing now what our audience is looking for, they want to get to know Al Vivian. So Al, we go all the way back. Who was Al Vivian? We start at 10 years old. So when you're 10, Al, you were either look at Mrs. Fry. You were either in the 4th or 5th grade, and that's normally when most of us kind of are aware of things that are going on outside of our nucleus family. You're kind of more aware of, okay, wow, you're heading to a middle school at that age, or you're heading to your last grade in grade school. So Al, what was it like as little tiny Al running around? Because you guys were always in Atlanta, is that correct?
No, we moved a bit. So so just give you an
Really?
idea. So I'm the youngest of all of us, and so I'm the youngest of 7. And so I was born in Chattanooga, went from Chattanooga to Atlanta, Atlanta to Chicago, Chicago to Raleigh, Raleigh to Atlanta, and that was all by the 5th grade. And then from 5th grade, then 5th grade all the way through college, I was here. I was here in Atlanta. But I mean, before I was born, it was before Chattanooga. What? Where were you all, Charisse? You were in. Oh, come on! I'm messing up now. Thank you, in Nashville. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. But
Well,
so
was that by
the
design?
4th grade, 5th grade transition. That's when we were moving um, from Raleigh, North Carolina, to here. For me, that was when we were in Raleigh. I remember 5th grade Raleigh because I was at a 5th grade center. It was a school that was all 5th graders. I'd never seen that before. It was something they were trying out in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yeah.
So Crosby Garfield 5th grade center. And so I went from there to Atlanta. And from Raleigh, in Raleigh, it was the first place I'd ever lived because we were in Chicago before that. So that was the first place I ever lived where you went fishing. So that's why I learned how to fish and went to the creek and, did all of that stuff. It was like Mayberry RFD, kind of thing. never had that before. Now, for me, one of my memories from that age group was for me, but Charisse was dating, had a boyfriend.
Oh, you tell it all. You telling it all now, Al.
So here's the story. So he wanted to take Charisse to the North Carolina State Fair. Do you remember this, Charisse?
Yes, I do.
I'm a guy, and I remember he was a very handsome young man. So I don't know if it's okay if I say his name. Well, I guess it's Reginald Dunston.
Reginald Dunston.
Yes. And so my dad, of course, Dad had to meet this guy before he was going to let him take his daughter to the state fair.
Oh.
And so the thing that was so funny about it is he was as tall as Dad. And so
He was
this
taller
was
than Dad.
right. At the time, Dad was 6 feet tall. So this guy was like 6'1". And, right. So I was in the 5th grade. Charisse, you were what, like 8th grade? She was in 8th grade. So, yeah. And he was 6'1". And so the compromise was he let her go, but they had to take me. And I never knew that that's how I got to the Golden State Fair until years later. I thought she was just being kind and taking her little brother with her to the State Fair. It was like, no, Dad had me as the guy to make sure nothing was happening, you know?
I had a similar situation. So I have sisters that are older than me, right? And oh my goodness, Al, I would tell you, we used to get free meals, free events. I remember being the little sister, always going with the big sister on these dates, man. And oh my gosh, I had a ball. Because not only that, this is what we did, Al. We would harass them, right? Me and my little sister, one year younger than me. She's probably watching right now. But we would just sit there and just try to harass them the whole night. Oh, my sister was so mad. I love it. Well, anyway, so moving from there, you were in North Carolina then. So in the 6th grade, were you guys still in North Carolina, or did you guys make another move?
We made the move here. So I was there 5th grade, came here for 6th grade.
Gosh, wow. Now, was that all by design, Al? Because of what your dad was doing with the civil rights movement?
So yeah, we moved a lot because of the civil rights movement. And then when we made the transition from Raleigh to here is when Dad started our company, Basic Diversity. So he in Raleigh, he was the dean of the divinity school at Shaw University in Raleigh. Wow. Then when he left that job is when he came to Atlanta to start the company Basic Diversity. Actually, at the time, the company name was BASIC, which was an acronym. It standing for Black Action Strategies and Information Center. And so, which went by the acronym BASIC. And so I was, at that time, well, when I got older, went off to college. After college, I was a military officer. So I was an army captain. And Dad did the Oprah show in 1989. And that's when I saw Dad on the Oprah show, that's when I said, hey, I'd rather be doing that. Because I'm that guy. I joined the Army because I felt it was my way to contribute back to society. And so my plan was to just go in, because Mom and Dad always stressed that all of us had to do something to give back to society. So I felt that was my way to give back. It was also a way for me to establish a career straight out of college, because I can't think of any other job, any other occupation where straight out of school, straight out of college, you get handed keys to a building, a staff of people, a budget, and people saluting you, calling you sir or ma'am. So I did the Army, and I'd only planned to do 3 years in, and ended up liking it a lot better than I thought I would. Ended up doing 8 years. But when I saw it was time for me to go. I was ready to get out, and then I saw Dad on the Oprah show, and I said, oh, there we go. That's what I want to go do. And so I knew what he did. I knew he traveled having these race awareness workshops, but I never knew how he did it. And the moment I saw it, I said, oh, that's what I'd rather be doing. So I called him that night and said, I called to try to talk to him that night. He was out of town, so I spoke to Mom. And then a couple of days later, I talked to Dad, and Dad said, just because you're my son doesn't mean you're going to be guaranteed a job. So you better make sure you're ready to give up a career before you come and try this out. And so, at first I was like, I was kind of shocked. But then I was like, yeah, I can do this. So then it was, I had a year and a half left on my obligation in the Army. So a year and a half later, 1991, is when I left the Army and came on board with the company. And then I changed the company name from Black Action Strategies and Information Center to Basic Diversity, because I wanted to keep the name Basic, because that's how we were known as Basic. But I wanted to also show what we did. We did diversity, and diversity made the transition from just being a black-white issue to being a multiracial issue, and from just being a race issue to being the full spectrum of diversity, gender, age, sexual orientation, etc. So I changed the name and came on board then. I don't know how I jumped way back from there to all the way up to current. Oh, because you asked about, the 6th grade, all that other stuff.
Oh, we're gonna circle back around. I'm gonna pull your sister in because I really want to know. As he's talking, Charisse, I'm sure your mind is like, oh my gosh, I remember that. I remember this. I remember how things were.
Yes.
Okay, so Charisse, he was the little brother, huh?
But because I was 3 years from my sister, then 5 years from my other sister, that were in the house together. Al and I were basically together all the time, Al, Mark, and myself, because they wouldn't let me go with them. And I would have to tell my mom, they won't let me go. And she would make them take me with them. So Al and I were together a lot.
Yes.
Wow.
In Chicago.
Go ahead.
My father was blackballed in Chicago because he was helping the union. Black people get in with the union. So he was blackballed, and that's how we got to Carolina. That's how we got to North Carolina. And then after that, we moved to Atlanta. He got a job here. So that's how we got. But he was blackballed there. So we had to move, and that's how we got to Carolina.
And see, as the baby who was younger than everybody, I didn't know what was going on. So I didn't know that's why we went from, I still didn't know that until you just said it. That's why we went from Chicago to Raleigh. I just knew we moved to Raleigh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, with the ask Charisse, so you knew when these transition things was happening, the reasons behind why they were happening, and how did you deal with knowing what it was, and how did you handle that just being a young person?
Well, you really had no choice. You're going to have to move. And my mother always talked to us about the situation and what we were going to have to do. So, of course, I didn't want to move from Chicago. But you won't believe I was in Chicago a lot longer and I had more friends there. But when I went to Raleigh, we had to move 8 months later. A year later, I really didn't want to move at all. I'm tired of moving. I don't want to move. So my friends' mothers told me I could stay with them. So I told my mom, I could stay with Annette Wagner. I need to stay with Annette. She's like, no, you need to go with us.
I can remember saying that kind of stuff back in the day. It don't fly like it do now. You say that, oh, Mama, I'm going to stay with so-and-so, so I can stay with so. I knew that wasn't going to work.
It's not going to work. But because me and Al were together a lot, I wanted to tell you all a story about my dad. When my dad and Al and I would be in the car, when we were really young in Atlanta, the first time we were in Atlanta, he would get to the red light and he would say, "This is a long light, isn't it?" And Al and I, you remember that, Al? And we
I do
would
not.
say,
No, I don't.
"Yes, it is, Dad." And he would say, "Do you want me to change the light?" And we would say, "Yeah, Dad, change the light, change the light." And Dad would say, "Change light." And the light would change. We really thought my dad could change the light. So we thought he was larger than life. Not even Superman could change the light. So one day I realized that Dad couldn't change the light. So I told him, I really don't like you. And he said, "Well, why don't you like me?" I said, "Because you've been lying to us." And he said, "Well, what have I been lying about?" I said, "You can't change no light." And so he just laughed. He used to do this thing. He would take his head back and he would say, "No, I can't change the light. But now you're doing what I wanted you to do. You're thinking. If I could change the light, why couldn't you?" And I was
wow.
I didn't want to hear that part.
But Charisse, that was a teachable moment, because some of the parents, as you come at them like that, you would get taken into another room and something else would be happening. So you're very fortunate that your dad laughed it off and shared that bit of wisdom, because in some other households, what did you say to me Well, I need to see you over here.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, we know how to approach him. He was a really nice dad, and we were so blessed to have a dad who allowed, who made life fun, even teachable moments,
Yeah.
And the fact that he allowed God to order his steps, it showed you what could happen when you do follow what God asked you to do. And those steps led him into SCLC, where he, under the leadership of Martin Luther King Jr., he and other known and unknown people helped change the light for us as Black people, because they changed it from inequality to equality, from injustice to justice. So you could see, in order, taking God's steps or allowing God to order your steps, that it's probably the best thing for you to do, instead of taking your own division on what you want to do.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Can
And
I add something to that?
Yeah, go ahead, Al. Please do.
So for me, what Charisse is talking about, all these people known and unknown, but also, and which is so true. There's so many people in the movement that no one ever heard about. But I also like to point out the fact that it was Christ-centered. You had a small group of ministers, Black ministers, and this is the part I want people to really understand, who changed the entire course of the most powerful nation on the planet, in the history of the world. Okay, I mean, here you have, without firing a single bullet, without throwing a single punch, they changed the most powerful nation in the world. I mean, every law was designed for segregation. It was the law of the land. They changed that, and that's the testament of how, when God is on your side, how there's nothing you can do, because had they not done this God's way, it never would have worked. Even the whole piece about, people would see them on TV, how, they would peacefully march, even though somebody would hit them. And so, if that was me, I'd have punched them back. Or I'm like, yeah, and you'd have gotten killed, and no laws would ever been changed. The whole ability to remain peaceful in spite of all that, and as we get ready to celebrate King, we need to remember that it was because it was done decent and in order in God's way, that the victory was won. Just like the Civil War, we won because God was on the side of those who were ending slavery. And so when God is on your side, and you know that, and you're firm in that, you win. And so just when she's talking about, because they did things God's way, and that's so true. If they had done it any other way, those of us on this call would not have any rights. But they did it the way it was done. And that's how the battle was won.
100%. And just the fact that you said that, because we look at, we being believers, look at Jesus. Jesus didn't have to use violence or anything like that to get his point across. And what does he talk about? The whole Bible talks about love. And that's what you said. When your enemies are beating you and persecuting you, you don't respond the way typical man would respond by, oh, how could you let that happen? You respond the way they did. You're going to follow God's direction and take his lead. And behind the scenes, God changed that whole narrative.
And in the end, he will make your enemies your footstool. So,
always.
When you do it this way, it's going to work.
Let's talk about fast forward to right now.
Well, hang on that thought. We got to take our break.
I got you.
Oh, we definitely going to hang on to that thought. We got to pay a couple of bills. But listen, you guys, I want everyone who is watching to be sure that you are sharing this information. Please hit that share button. I see so many of you guys that are hopping on our Facebook pages. You can also watch us on YouTube as well. For those of you who do not, who know people that don't have Facebook, because everybody doesn't have Facebook. I'm saying. But we are also streaming simultaneously on YouTube. So send them that link to our YouTube channel so they can be a part of this conversation. Well, when we come back, you guys, we want to continue our conversation with the Vivians. You're listening and watching Level Up, Real Talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. We'll be right back.
If they could understand my need, they would want you bad as me. Never had a love like yours. So want you more. Never had a love. How I need you. How I need you. Can't get enough of your love, babe. Do you feel it? Do you feel it? 'Cause I'm needing you. Show me that you do. Can't get enough of your love, baby. Baby, baby. Oh, yeah. Ooh, you take me to another world. I know that I'm your favorite girl. Why do I deserve your love? And why do I deserve your trust? I got your love and need for me, with all my flaws and everything. I can't explain the joy you bring. I need you in my life. Ooh, you make me wanna be a better version of me, with the things you say and the things you do. With the things you say and the things you do. And you make me feel so real and so brand new. How I love you, babe, how I do. Like yours, never had a love. How I need you. I can't get enough. Do you feel it? 'Cause I'm needing you. Oh yeah. Can't get enough of your love, baby. Ooh, you make me wanna be a better version of me, with the things you say and the things you do. And you make me feel so real and so brand new. How I love you, babe, how I do. You make me wanna be a better version of me, with the things you say and the things you do. And you make me feel so real and so new. Like yours, I never had how I need you. I can't get enough. Your love, babe. Your love, babe. Your love. Can't get enough. Your love, babe. I can't get enough. Oh, 'cause you make me feel so
Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you tried, things just still go wrong?
Many times.
What do?
I let go and let God.
All I'm asking from you is to bump up our credit limit to where it was.
It's declined.
We're experiencing some financial hardships at the moment.
You have 6 days to make payment.
I can't believe this is happening.
You know, I never asked you to pray with me.
It's you and me. We got this. God wants to help you, Peter.
Excuse me?
But you're not letting him in.
I did once. Last time we spoke, you took a man away from me I loved dearly. From that day, I swore to take matters into my own hands. But I don't know what to do.
I know that you don't believe, but I will pray for you.
I love you so much.
Copy more.
It was a miracle. You believe in miracles?
Listen, if you need me, you call me. All of the angels in heaven are rejoicing. You gotta know that everything is gonna be okay.
Hey, this is Nolan Holloway, a.k.a. Mr. Scribe. Just letting you know that I have 3 books of poetry that's available on Amazon.com. So when you get a chance, go to Amazon.com, look up Nolan P. Holloway Jr., not Mr. Scribe, and pick up one of my books for your enjoyment. Peace.
Kimia Arrington is a career empowerment speaker, business strategist to career professionals, and employed entrepreneurs who are building their businesses while working demanding full-time job, as well as a visionary event producer. She is on a mission to help the massive take career control by positioning them to transition into careers, businesses, and life they love on their terms. Kim certainly affirms that you can love your Mondays by doing only the work you desire and enjoy. Who says you can't love your Mondays? Kim affirms that you most certainly can.
Bookstore. We offer a variety of items: church supplies, homeschool resources, music, books, and gifts. Our free ministry partners online affiliate program provides a collection of Christian resources. Unveiled treasures, exquisite jewels to enrich your soul.
It's your girl, Dr. Monique Frazier, owner of Prestige Decor and More. Let's level up on Sundays, 3 to 6 p.m. Ordinary people with extraordinary stories.
Hey guys, vibe with Mr. Scribe on Level Up.
You're listening to Level Up with Dr. Deb Armstrong.
This is Allison Feliciano. Listen or watch Level Up each and every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m. Keep it locked right here.
And welcome back to Level Up, Real Talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. Welcome back, everyone. And thank you guys for hanging out with us this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Hey, everybody that is watching on Facebook, I just want to let you guys know that you also can watch on our YouTube channel. And who is watching on our YouTube channel is Joe Walker and Gail Williams. I just want to thank all of those people that have gone on over to our YouTube channel. What I would like for everyone who is watching on Facebook, head on over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button, because there'll be more things that we'll be doing on our YouTube channel as opposed to our Facebook channel. And I don't want you guys to miss not a moment of this zany crowd right here. All right, let's get right back into our conversation, you guys. Who we have in the studio by way of Blue Jeans, because we are being COVID compliant. Before I even mention that to them, I just want to let everybody know you're looking at, if you're watching me on YouTube or Facebook, you may not believe it, but I am going through COVID right now. Yes, I am positive even as we speak. And the reason why I made a decision to let everybody know, what is going on with me. As you guys can see, I am in my home studio. I'm being quarantined here at my house. And I'm actually saying that because, as you guys know, here on Level Up, we are all about being real and talking to you guys about what's really going on in our lives. I was diagnosed maybe about 3-4 days ago, and had no idea that I had the virus. But that is the reason why we are saying to everyone, please take this serious. Please take this serious. how I contracted the virus was at work, and I let my guard down. And that's where we absolutely cannot do that, my brothers and sisters, especially those who are saying Jesus is Lord. I've gotten the scolding of my life from all of my family and friends, which I well deserve it. But I just, took upon myself that I thought I was a little bit more safe in my office environment. As you guys know, I work in the office and I drive a school bus for one of the counties here in Georgia. Well, I was all messed up and fortified on my school bus, but when I went into the office, I let my guard down, and that's where it caught me. So I'm sharing that with you guys because I don't want anyone to continue to go out here and not keep your guard up while we're going through this pandemic. My biggest fear from having the virus is infecting other people. So as soon as I found out that I was exposed to the virus in my office setting, I took it upon myself to immediately quarantine, although they didn't quarantine me at the time. I went ahead and quarantined myself because I work with a lot of people, especially in our church, who are up in age. I took it upon myself to, do some of their grocery shopping, do some of their errands so that they wouldn't have to go out. And I thought I was doing the right thing as far as doing that kind of service for our elderly. But lo and behold, once I found out that I was exposed, I said, nope, I'm not going to see anyone. Let me self-quarantine. And thank God I did, because I did not get the diagnosis until a few days later. Here's what happened to me. I was exposed on Thursday. I took a test on Tuesday, and it said negative. We're about to take another. It was actually Friday, this past Friday. I took another test this past Friday, and there's where I got the positive results. So why am I sharing that with everyone? I want you guys to take it that serious. Take it that serious. If you are out and about, I took it upon myself, because I am a school bus driver, to always get tested and retested because of the work that I do for my family and friends who are up in age. So I'll say I'm doing okay. All it feels like for me at the moment, it feels like a cold. But I am taking a lot of vitamins to keep my immune system boosted. And one of the things that you guys already knew about me, based on if you have been following me for years, I'm slowly changing my diet. But this was a shot in the arm. And what I have been doing is really changing my diet. A friend of mine said, eat the rainbow. If we do that about our diet, ladies and gentlemen, if we eat the rainbow and keep our bodies fortified and highly alkaline, listen, lemon water can do it. Drink lemon water, because that will keep your body alkaline, and no virus can live in an alkaline state. So I wanted to share that with everyone, and let you guys know, let us continue to be careful and take care of one another. We've got to do that. We've got to take care of one another. And that's why we are wearing our masks. That's why we're wearing our shield. That's why we're changing our diet. That's why we're doing it. It's not just for us to live a little bit longer on this earth, but it's also to take care of our brothers and sisters. And if you missed what we had talked about in our previous segment, we're going right into that conversation. How do we take care of one another? And Al, I just want to get right back to, look, you were going right back into that conversation of what it was like when your dad was in the civil rights movement. It wasn't about them. It really was about what they can do for the country at large, and for each of their brothers and sisters who are right next to one another. I just wanted you to, share a little bit more for those who just are just now tuning in and might have missed that. Please, kind of recap a little bit, and let's have a little conversation about what's going on in the world even today.
you know, it's I'm looking at something I've been talking about for the past. Well, I've been doing the diversity work now for 29 years, but I would say for the past 8 to 10 years, I've been paying a lot of attention to white supremacist groups. And
Right.
actually, Dad was on the forefront of that. So in 1978, Dad started an organization called the National Anti-Klan Network, which is now known as the Center for Democratic Renewal. So even then, he was talking about the need to have an eye on them. And here we have now where, because a lot of the people that commandeered the Capitol, you know, last week, there was a large number of white supremacists involved in that group. And so we have got to keep our eyes on what's going on. The law enforcement agencies, as well as the military, have been inundated as of late with white supremacist group members. There was a FBI there was a FBI report that came out in 06, that talked about the rise of white supremacist groups, how part of their strategy was to infiltrate, to become members of law enforcement agencies so that they could indiscriminately kill people of color and never be held accountable. And when the report was put out, because the way the report was written, it said far right-leaning groups. And as a result of that, the right side of the political scene, conservatives said, how dare you say that? That's like saying that conservatives are white supremacists, and they pushed back, and then the FBI shut up, and nobody was ever told about the report, so the data didn't go out there, and nothing was really done. And then 10 years later, in 2016, was when we saw the largest number of unarmed blacks and browns being killed by, for the most part, white police officers. And so there's so much going on with the supremacist movement that we have to keep our eye on. And so now people are finally starting to pay attention as they overrun the U.S. Capitol. And let's be honest about that. So I'm just going to go out there and say it. If there would have been black folk, they'd have been shot.
Oh,
They
yeah.
wouldn't
No, we're not.
They would have been allowed to become get that close to the Capitol. And definitely after they got in, the treatment would have been very different. They were taking selfies. They were escorting people out. They were walking away peacefully. The president does a video that says, "We love you, go home." No, it would have been like, okay, let's clean up the bodies. You know, if it had been us. And let's just being very real about that. And so the correlation between the past and the present, we have rights now that we never had before. But if you also pay close attention, you'll notice that a lot of those rights have been taken away over the past 10 or so years. Voting rights restricted in a massive way. The whole voter ID law thing, that was all about suppressing the black vote. It's the way the districts are gerrymandered, the way the lines are drawn. I saw a special. They showed one college campus, historically black college campus. If you're in one part of the campus, you're in one district. You're in another part of the campus, you're in a different district. And that was by design. How the lines are drawn. Even what's seen as a valid ID varies from state to state. So, example, the state of Texas, if you had a student ID from a school, if it was not a government school, if it wasn't like a state school, in other words, it was an HBCU, your ID didn't count as a valid ID to register and go vote. But what was categorized as a valid license, a valid ID to register to vote, is a gun license. Now, who's more likely to have a gun license, Pookie or Bubba? It's going to be Bubba. And so all of that was racially motivated, and that stuff continues to this day, but it's done in a way to where people don't notice how well it's being done. Even how during the 2020 campaign,
right,
under the guise that people are going to cheat and vote unfairly, they changed where you could go vote in advance. Early voting in the state of Texas, there was only one voting poll place per county. In other words, for early voting, for mail-in early voting and drop-off. In other words, some people had to drive 200 miles to vote if they wanted to vote early. Now, the early vote was overwhelmingly Black and Latino. You suppress that by making it harder for people to do that. And so there's so much of those things going on today that people are not paying attention to. And so the correlation of the past to the present is we're going back to some of the same things. It's just done way more subtle. Because in the past, it was easy to say, we're not going to let those people vote. We don't want those people around. Well, now you can't say that. You just redistrict. You change the way the voting laws are done and carrying out the same thing. So bringing Dad into this, Dad and I were doing an interview for StoryCorps, which is part of public broadcasting, and this is when they were bringing StoryCorps nationally, so they were going to major cities to have people who were well known be interviewed by somebody that they knew, a family member, a friend. So they had me interviewing Dad, and I asked Dad the question. I said, so as one of the last living members of ML King's executive team, I know the advice you gave me as to what I should do to survive as a Black male in America. What advice would you give to my sons, your grandsons, as to how to survive in America?
Yes.
And his response totally shocked me. I thought he was going to lay out, here's what you should do. He said, well, son, I don't know. And so I go, you don't know? I'm like, oh, I get it. Because my generation was the first generation to grow up with rights, that things have changed. So you don't know if the advice that worked there. He says, no, son, I don't know if the advice we gave you was the best advice because of that. But then he added this, and this is what shocked me. And I wanted to say when he said it, my initial thought was, Dad has lost his mind. But of course, I don't say that because we're on air. And so we're being recorded. And so what he said was, and please hear this when I say this, because it was the way it hit me when I first heard it. He said, son, I'm not too sure that white America will want democracy when they're no longer the majority.
Oh, wow.
And I said to myself, he's lost his mind. What the heck is Dad thinking?
Wow.
And just a few years later, I saw the voting rights bill gutted. I saw voter ID laws put in place. I saw redistricting on hyperspeed. And then I had to stop and go, Dad knew exactly what he was talking about. I'm the one that was missing it big time because I didn't want to fathom that could even be possible. Which is why I'm so happy for Stacey Abrams.
Yes.
Because without that done, a lot of us would not have been able to really vote. And so there's so much going on today that people are missing because it's not blatant, it's subtle. We no longer have the signs that say white only, colored only. We just manipulate it so it ends up the same way in many areas of this country, actually everywhere in the country. You know, there's so many, the school systems, literally, the public school systems in America today are as segregated now as they were in 1968. And people need to stop and think about that and hear that. So stuff is done in a way that's so subtle, but it's still having some of the same end results. And if you're not aware, if you're not paying attention, if you're not searching for the data, you'll never know it.
That's why we as believers have to be aware and be wise and discerning when certain things are taking place and not be asleep, as we would say, being woke and understanding that these are things that, God can do anything, but using us as instruments to put the information out there. And the truth is the truth. We've seen how many times that the truth is spun in such a way that, oh, let's heal, let's do these things, and just watching it play out. It's amazing to me. I was born in the late 50s, so I grew up as a teenager in the 70s. So a lot of stuff I didn't know because I wasn't called the N-word and I didn't see certain things. But as I've gotten older, like you said, Al, in reference to how it's done, you go for a job interview. When I graduated from college, those little buzzwords, oh, we need an all-American candidate, all these type of things. When I got to that, and my realization happened really quickly. I was taking a course in college, and I had an African-American professor who grew up in Mississippi, and he would tell us stories about how hard it was for him to get his thesis. He did his whole thesis, handed it in. It was told it was no good. It was over 800-900 pages. He had to redo it. Then he talked about the glass ceiling. I'm like, glass ceiling? What is he talking about? And I'm a finance major. So I'm thinking I'm going to go out in the business world and do, and he crushed my dreams almost. Hey, do you think you're going to be invited to the golf course or the country club to make major corporate decisions? He challenged me. Go out and get 5 companies in the United States and tell me what you see. I got Chrysler, IBM, and a couple of others. But when I opened the book, what did I see when I looked at the board of directors and the guys that was running those particular companies? I didn't see anybody that looked like me. I'm like, you trying to depress me? I'm ready to change my major. He says, no, you don't want to do that. You want to be faithful and choose your path. I'll turn it back to you guys.
Yeah, and I just adding on to that piece about us as believers, we also have to call out evil, and so many are not calling out evil because in a nation that is a democracy, it is evil to steal someone's right to vote. There's nothing more un-American than stealing the right to vote in a democracy, and so we have to call out evil, and quite often we don't. Now, I'm not saying there's no all to anything. I'm not talking about calling people out of their name, but pointing out unfair things, pointing out undemocratic things in a democratic society is our responsibility.
What did King talk about as we grew up learning about Dr. King? If you know something's wrong and you stay quiet, you're complacent. What have we just seen in front? We're experiencing complacency. Oh, we kind of knew he was like that, but we thought that he would work it out somehow. I don't have to name names, but these people, just like, here's the thing that scares me from my own life. Each and every one of us have to give an account, and we've got to stand before our maker one day and basically explain our actions. So when you get up in front of him and say, you knew it was wrong, what was going on, why didn't you do something about it? They're going to try to make excuses, try to get around it, but at that particular juncture, there's no way around it. That puts the fear in me to make sure that my situation is handled properly. So in other words, I kind of feel sorry for them because they'll keep denying. But one day there's going to be a reckoning. And what does the Bible say? Gnashing of teeth, nervousness, anxiety, all of those different things are going to take place because people think that, oh, I don't have to say enough. I can just sit back and let things happen. You're going to have to explain why.
Be ye hot or be ye cold, but be ye lukewarm, I will spew you out of my mouth.
Well, Charisse, what are your thoughts? I want to get some of your thoughts before we head to break. We got about another 3 minutes.
Firmly agree with everything they said. And if we don't look carefully at what's going on in the society, especially today, it's going to get worse. The fact that they just walk these people out of the Capitol, and I hate that they keep calling them rioters. They were not rioters. They weren't there to riot. They were there to take over the government. Right. And there's a difference between someone who's rioting and someone's there who take over the government.
Wow, good point. Good point. Yeah, because they were actually on their way to overthrow the government and move. Literally, like physically move people out and away. And it just kind of, when I was looking at all of that, it just kind of brought me back to, what was going on in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. You want to use your guns and your rifle instead of your faith in God. And so when we come back on the other break, I definitely want to, touch more about this and, the work that your dad has done and his legacy. His legacy will forever live on in our hearts because we have people that remember. We have people like you guys that can stand and say, hey, I remember when Dad said this. And Al, great testimony, because sometimes we don't know a thing when it's told to us, at one juncture, but then as we grow and mature, God makes it all, open all the things up so that we can understand. And I think we are still in those times right now where God is going to eventually open some things up, and we've got to stand like Mr. Scribe was saying, we've got to stand in the correct position to do the will of God no matter what, just like they did back in the 60s. All right, when we come back from our break, We will have more conversation. And coming up, ladies and gentlemen, we will have Lisa McNair that will be coming on the platform. Oh, my goodness. Let me tell you, when we had our pre-show with the three of these guys, I had a ball yesterday. So I don't want you guys to miss the Vivians and Lisa McNair. Watch that interaction with the three of them, you guys. I love it. You're listening and watching Level Up, Real Talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. We'll be right back.
If I scream in the darkness, could anybody hear my cry? If I scream in the darkness, could anybody hear my cry?
Yeah, woke up in the morning, instead of yawning, roaming through the thoughts in my head, in my bed, trying to figure out if my life was the next step. It's just one of them days. I don't want to be seen, no need for the sun rays. Y'all don't really want to feel my pain. If I died tomorrow, y'all wouldn't care, no way. Just me, myself, and I, and all the lies the enemy makes me believe them. But no matter how hard I try, I can't deny it's life worth living next season. I don't want to be here no more. Tell me, is it the best of my life gets? I just want to call it quits right now. Go into town, I ain't even been out of bed yet. Hey.
Darkness, could anybody hear my cry? My cry. If I scream in the darkness, could anybody hear my cry? Hear my cry.
Lord, take me away. I don't want to feel it no more, cause the pain won't go. Don't nobody want to hear me complain, that's a lot of front door. Feeling so low, I don't want to waste your time, so I think that it's best I go. Should I take these pills, should I grab that blade? Matter of fact, think I got a gun in the top drawer. Yeah, tell my mama that I love her, I ain't mean to bring tears, and my pop's been gone, but deep down I be wishing that my daddy's still here. The girl that broke my heart, I apologize that I wasn't worth your time. So as I take this 9 with the tears in my eyes, Holy Spirit says,
if I scream in the darkness, could anybody hear my cry? If I scream in the darkness, could anybody hear my cry? Hear my cry. I cry alone when I'm far from home, when all I can do is sit in silence. If I call on you, would you ignore me too? I'm desperate to be rescued. I'm trying. I scream in the darkness. Could anybody hear my cry?
Long enough that you've been walking around in the wilderness trying to figure out, who am I? Why am I here? What gifts do I have to make a difference? Well, it's time to warm it up. Discover your true identity. Unleash your gifts and impact the world to become a more bolder, braver, and courageous you. Join me, Kathy Hood, at a life-changing workshop, Woman Up, the journey of owning your power and unleashing your true self.
Have you been sluggish, bloated, overweight? You could be toxic from your environment, food, and medications. It's time for a clean start. Come by or book online today.
is Rodney Damon Collins. I'm an actor, producer, author, and speaker. I'm excited to share my first book entitled Shattered, A Journey Through the Pieces. I wrote this book because there are millions of people like me in this world who are searching for purpose while navigating emotional distress. This book is for anyone who wants to be the producer of their own life. The reader will be encouraged to know that if they, 1, keep God first, 2, learn how to make peace with the pieces in our lives, and finally, 3, never deter from your dreams, that you will see your purpose fulfilled. I love you, and go grab this book on Amazon.com, Shattered, A Journey Through the Pieces.
These issues of pain, you have these issues of heavy blood flow. It's almost like you are a prisoner. You know, I felt like a prisoner. The calendar was a very big deal to me because I would plan my life around my period. UFE is a great procedure. It's an awesome procedure. So when I heard about it and I was a candidate, I was doing a happy dance because I was like, now I'm going to be able to live and be free.
Hey, this is Shay Bynes with Kingdom Driven Entrepreneur. Let's level up. Tune in every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m.
It's your girl, Chantel Charisma. Let's level up on Sundays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Hey, this is Dr. Kishana. Level up. Check them out every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m.
Hey, this is Rodney Damon Collins, inviting you to level up. Check them out every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern.
And welcome back to Level Up, real talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. Welcome back, everyone. And thank you guys for hanging out with us this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Hey, if you guys are watching on Facebook, did you know you can also watch this show while it's going on YouTube? I would love for everyone to head on over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button. There will be more things that we'll be doing throughout the year. Actually, Level Up has done an about face. As you guys can see, that each and every one of us are being COVID compliant. And every last one of us on this radio show, on this broadcast, is broadcasting from the comfort and safety of our own homes. Yes, indeed. What are you trying to say, Mr. Scribe? What?
You can see from my background, my virtual background, I'm out in the city just hanging out.
Oh, that's what you're doing. Okay. Anyway, before we went to our break, you guys, we had a really great, candid conversation with the Vivians in the studio. By, like I said, by way of Blue Jeans is Al Vivian and Charisse Vivian Thornton. They are the children of the late great C.T. Vivian, and my, you guys, all I can say for both of you, whether you like it or not, you know how sometimes you're like, I'm not going to do what mom and dad does. Well, that was me, and it ended up being that every last one of my mom, my dad, my grandparents, they were educators. Guess where I ended up? In education. So, you only do what you are actually used to doing. I went back into education after, the tumble of, 2006, 7. Y'all remember that? 2006, 7, 8, 9, and 10? Yeah. So I came out of my corporate job into education and haven't looked back since. So, Al, as you were talking about, education, I caught what you said about this one because in actuality, I am starting to see that as I am, growing in my education career. I am starting to see how, schools are one of the most segregated institutions in our nation right now, and it's getting more and more segregated because, like you said, the drawing of the lines is making that happen. So I just I, I'm flabbergasted because what happened with us trying to become a nation as one, and as we grow in all of this and everything that's going on today, it seems like things are getting more and more segregated. But what I have to say, and I will always hang my hat on this, is my faith in God. So in the civil rights movement, that is what was the foundation of what your dad, what Martin Luther King and others. That's how they grew that the foundation of the civil rights based on their faith.
Yeah.
So you know, I just want to, just kind of point out, some of the things that we had said earlier on our previous segment before we went to break. Wow. Pay attention, and even more so now. This is one of the things I'm starting to see around our nation. We can't only just vote. We've got to get more involved. And how do we get more involved? I mean, what are some of the things that, I'm throwing out the question to all three of you guys at this point. What are some of the things that you guys can see, especially as brothers and sisters in Christ? What are some of the things that we can actually start to do to get involved? Think about that spirit of the civil rights movement, where there were more people that just paid attention and got more involved, and was not about me fi me. It's quite hard these days because the kids that are growing up in these schools right now, and some that are beyond, to be honest, it has been proven that a lot of our young people are about us. But I am starting to see that there is a groundswell of those that are saying to one another, okay, there's something that needs to take place outside of my little bitty world. How do I get involved? What would be some of your advice to, if there's 20 somethings that are listening to this broadcast right now?
That's for all of us. What do you think, Charisse? I think I'm talking too much, so I don't want to.
He's trying to give you the mic, Charisse. Come on, Charisse. You got
too much, but I would say most definitely vote. And we saw this summer, or this spring or summer during COVID, we saw a lot of young Black people out there voting, and out there marching because of injustices. And I was very happy to see that. And I said happened at the right time because people didn't have to go to work. People didn't have to worry about other things. They were marching to let you know there are injustices. And I think the only thing, a lot of them saw it, and they went out and they protest, and they did what they were supposed to do. The only thing was a lot of times it was a little more violent than it should have been. But when you're angry, that's what happens. And some people are more angry than others because they have been left out more so than others. So everybody had the right to do what they felt. But I think you have to pull back on the anger and just show your force, your power in the force, non-violently.
I agree with that. But I was going to say as well, what Charisse was saying, that a lot of the protests were peaceful, but then you had agitators to change the narrative. Every time you try to do something that is going to be a positive, you always got the enemy using other means to undermine what these young folks were doing. The young folks were being peaceful. Yeah, there was some that was doing certain things because the anger was there. Because you get to the point where, we're human and everybody gets pushed. Everybody has that line, some more further than others, where you go, you know what? You can push me as far as you can push me. I'm in the corner. I'm gonna come out. But a lot of that, the narrative I've heard was agitators infiltrating with their agenda to make the protests look like, you see, look how they act. Look how they do when you give them an opportunity to do something to change the narrative. And that's what people want. They want to go, you see, we can't give them an opportunity to do that because look how they act. So that changes the directive. So now we need to do certain things like I was talking about. Those little subtle things to undermine what a true democracy is supposed to be.
Well,
I agree, and I think we should also go into Black Lives Matter, join an organization that's going to keep it on the positive and that's going to be able to do something to really bring change. Black Lives Matter, the Voting Rights Act, anything, the National Center for Civil and Human Rights, wherever, join something that's going to help you do something positive to that extent that you need to make a change.
That's why their mission statements and their directives have to be very clear. Because look what happens with the Black Lives Movement. The spin on that, which I'm going to go back to how things are put spin on. Oh, they're a political organization. Oh, they're trying to undermine it, do all these different things. That's not what they were about. They weren't about that at all. And if you go to people who don't read or who don't try to educate themselves, they're going to believe the false narrative that they put out there.
And I would add to that that if you're trying to fix a problem that can be fixed via politics, then politics has to be involved. Even though they're not a political organization, they have to influence those who have political power so that real change can come about. When the mention of the school system was also talked about, our education system doesn't really teach American history. We teach American mythology. And until we teach real American history, if we were to show people the real history of America, then whites would not be confused when African Americans, Latinos, and Asians are upset, because they would know our real full history. But we don't teach that. We gloss over all of that. So people are confused now. Well, why are you all so angry? Well, let's look at our history, and that will answer that question for you.
Wow, good point. Good point. And I love what my pastor, Gary Burke of Lakewood Church of Hope, he said in his sermon today. It's time out that a lot more of us get involved, especially involved, even if it's sitting at the dinner table with our young people, because they have the energy and the zeal. But it's time for us to actually try to mold and guide them as it was in the civil rights. Because what I understand, there are more meetings about being organized in what they were trying to do than the event itself. They got together on a regular basis, planning and plotting out what they will do, and even to the point of, well, if it breaks out in violence, what will we do as the nucleus, as the core? We will remain peaceful. We will not retaliate, because it will bring nothing more than a big brawl, and we're getting nowhere still. So, yeah, I do applaud each and every one of our young folks who are already doing it, because I don't want to sit here and say that there's no one that's doing it. We just need to continue to have these conversations and involve more of our young people and guiding them in the right direction, and not all about anger. Yes, we can be angry, but we also can continue to do everything in peaceful protests. We don't want to go right back to what happened January 6th. That will go down in history as one of the things that, what happened to American politics. It went in the wrong direction. But like you were saying, though, Al, there are a lot of things that, turned heads. Someone didn't speak up. And it's time out for all of that. It is time for us, especially as those who call Christ Lord, that it's time for us to speak up and speak out, like the civil rights movement.
And as with the civil rights movement, there'll be no positive change until there are a large number of whites involved as well.
Oh gosh.
And that is a fact. And so unless we're all working well together, if we don't use the full power of the body of Christ, that's all of those white, black, Latino, Asian, etc., that are within the body, then nothing's really going to change. It can't be one group pushing it. It's got to be all.
It's got to be all. And thank you for bringing that up, because you're right, especially in the civil rights movement. It wasn't just all people of color. There were Caucasians that were there supporting it. And like you said before, there are so many people that didn't have the face. There were certain people that had the face of the civil rights movement, but there were so many people in the background that was keeping this movement going and watching and learning. And like you said, Mr. Scribe, reading up on, the things that, well, wait a minute now. I read that in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Perhaps we need to pay attention to the movement of this group, because it had been said that such and such and so is making a move that is not about democracy. It is not about the people as a whole.
We can also look at it in a way like when Christ first came, he went directly to his people, the Jewish people, to give his message and say that you're the chosen one. I made promises to your ancestors that you would be the chosen people. When they rejected him, what did he do? Just like what Al just said, he went to the Jews, but then he went to the Gentiles as well. So in order he brought them all together, Jews and Gentiles combined. So the same thing with the civil rights. It can't be all African American. It has to be a conglomerate of people that only then, as Al said, the only way things are going to get resolved is everybody's involved, not just a particular group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for the most part, in our generation, Generation X, most of us, we sit close to, that we have had, dinner conversations with, and having those hard talks with them to help them to understand that this is the reason why these things are happening, and the thought process behind it is having these one-on-one intimate conversations with people that, of non-color, helping them to understand. Because I've had several of my friends just like, okay, Angee, I had one good friend of mine just called me out of the blue. We had been friends for years, and as she's looking and seeing everything, she picked up the phone and just said, "Hey, Angee, I just want to get your heart on how things are going. What are some of the things that you are feeling about all of this?" And my main point is that if people who are Caucasian will just do what you're doing, start there, start having the conversations that will enlighten you on what is in my heart and what is in the heart of those that are around me. Because of course, we talk with one another all the time, but when we start talking to the people of Caucasian race, helping them to understand that this is what is really on my heart and deep on my heart. One of the things that I said to her, I am concerned for my two sons. What I do talk to my sons about is being careful out there. And that might not even cross your mind. Being careful out there and making sure that you just get home safe. The conversation is different with my two sons than maybe with your son. But you know what? When you have those deep down, in-depth conversations and you understand, then you can take my conversation that I'm having with you to your dinner table, group that you sit with at the dinner, and say, "Hey, just had a conversation with Angee, and here's some of the things that I never thought about, because that's not my world. And what she did say, She said, you know what? I need to come up out of my world a little bit to understand. Now that I had this conversation with you, Angee, I need to come up out of my comfort level, my comfort zone, to really understand what is really going on and what's happening out there. I think that's what it takes. So yeah. Go ahead, Al. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying that you're right. That is what it takes.
Yeah. Well, listen, I just want to actually turn the conversation. 5 more minutes. Thank you. Okay, 5 more minutes to break. I wanted to turn the conversation because I had a few people like, hey, you didn't read Charisse's bio. Charisse, better late than never. So who is on the platform with us, you guys, is Charisse Vivian Thornton. She is the 5th child of 6 children born to Olivia Vivian and Dr. Reverend, like I said, C.T. Vivian. She was born in Nashville, Tennessee, and currently resides in Atlanta, Georgia. Charisse graduated from Morris Brown College with a B.S. in Business Administration. After a successful career in retail management, sales, and marketing, she followed her passion in civil liberties. Charisse now works for the National Center of Civil and Human Rights. Her simple pleasures in life are traveling, bowling, gardening. She has been married for Andre Thornton for 29 years, and they have a son, Andre II. All right, so Charisse, I just got to ask you this because when I read your bio before, that you are now at the National Center of Civil and Human Rights. Before we go to break, I just wanted you to just kind of speak to our audience for those who may not know about this entity that's located here in Atlanta, and I wanted you to just speak to our audience about that.
It's a National Center for Civil and Human Rights, and it really deals with Atlanta and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the time in civil rights during that era. And the people who were involved, the people who were murdered, the people who have led the way up until the present time. It's an excellent museum. It's really a museum, but it's called the Center for Civil and Human Rights.
It is an excellent museum, and I had the privilege, Charisse, of visiting that at 3 or 4 times, and just the displays that you guys have put on, and not only that, you guys have events. You guys put on events as well, correct?
I think she froze.
She got frozen a little bit.
We may have lost her for a second.
Okay.
Here she goes.
Can you hear us now?
Charisse?
Yeah, she might have froze up. All right. Well, we got to take our break at this moment in time. Ladies and gentlemen, in case you did not know, we are streaming on Facebook as well as YouTube. So if you would like to watch us on YouTube as well, head on over to The Real Level Up. That's where you guys can find and watch us there. I noticed that everybody doesn't have Facebook. So if you have family and friends that would love to watch this show as we are streaming live, send them over to The Real Level Up on YouTube. I just have a couple of people that are on right now. Just want to give a shout out to Marcia Wilkerson and Deanna Joe Vivian. Do you guys happen to know that person?
That would be my
Angee. Yep. And let me add, Angee, these folks are so technically savvy that they're taking it from their laptops and converting it onto their smart TVs. So they're sitting in their living room looking at us on television. So that's kind of nice to know that we're not just on laptops, we're on smart TVs as well.
We're on smart TVs, and I can actually say my mom is watching as well. Thank you, Miss Winifred Smiley. If I did not give her a shout out, I would hear about it. She is actually watching it on her big TV. So she's watching us like we are a television show. Isn't that interesting? Well, listen, you guys, we're going to go ahead and take our break. Up next, we have Lisa McNair, who will be coming on the call. You guys, I'm so excited about Lisa. And let me tell you something. When Lisa came on the pre-show with the Vivians, oh my goodness, they had me in stitches. I tell you what. So you guys don't want to miss Lisa, who is the sister of Denise McNair. All right, if you guys don't know who that is, stay tuned. You're listening and watching Level Up, real talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. We'll be right back.
Everybody wanna talk about the way this world is turning now. I think it's time to find another way. Don't talk it, just walk to bring about change between me and you. Let's love each other in a better way. So you shout, shout, shout to shake the walls that were created. Throw you out, 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 so we can all just come together. And no doubt, 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 that we can work this thing together. We can see a brighter day. Ain't no time for sleeping. Praise is what we're needing. Simply casting cares away. Jesus is your answer. Praise him when you answer. Gone and casting cares away. So casting cares away. Ooh, get to feel it in the air. Live life, loving is everywhere. Shining out on us like the perfect sun. The sun came to say me and you. Let's all take a minute and praise him too. In his holy name, let's have some fun. As we shout, shout, shout. The Holy Spirit got us dancing. We're wilding out, out, out. And the joy keeps enhancing. Ain't no doubt, doubt, doubt that we can all just live together. Simply cast your cares away. Ain't no time for sleeping. Get up on your feet and go and cast your cares away. Jesus is your answer. Praise him when you answer. Time to cast your cares away. Cast your cares
Kim Ikemia Arrington is a career empowerment speaker, business strategist to career professionals and employed entrepreneurs who are building their businesses while working demanding full-time job, as well as a visionary event producer. She is on a mission to help the massive take career control by positioning them to transition into careers, businesses and life they love on their terms. Kim certainly affirms that you can love your Mondays by doing only the work you desire and enjoy. Who says you can't love your Mondays? Kim affirms that you most certainly can.
What you want, baby, I got. what you need. You know I got it. All I'm asking is for a little respect when you get home. Hey, baby, when you come home, darling, I'm every woman. It's all in me. I can read your thoughts right now. Everyone from A to Z.
Men's and women's wear has statement pieces or full head-to-toe custom design. It's the personal styling service customized to your fit, lifestyle, and budget. Hi, I'm Marion Boyd, CEO and your designer guide for success. Contact me at 770-402-0730 Eastern Standard Time from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. only. I'm on Facebook at Marion G. Boyd or Instagram at Marion_Collection1. Get in, my people.
Unveiled Treasures Bookstore. We offer a variety of items: church supplies, homeschool resources, music, books, and gifts. Our free ministry partners online affiliate program provides a collection of Christian resources. Unveiled Treasures. Exquisite jewels to enrich your soul.
Is a nonprofit 501c3 community-based organization providing holistic health and wellness with locations in Marietta and Metro Atlanta. Our qualified behavioral health professionals provide extensive counseling and treatment in substance abuse, mental health, and opioid addiction. Someone Cares offers a variety of services, and our professionals are waiting to serve you. We are not just an agency, we are a friend.
You are listening to Level Up with Sisters of the Skies Incorporated.
This is Terrell Murphy. Get inspired with Level Up. Real talk that takes you higher.
Hey, this is Richard Shaw Jr. Make sure you're believing again. Also, Level Up. Check them out every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m.
Hey, this is Santa Kerr. Level Up. Check them out every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m. Don't touch that dial.
And welcome back to Level Up, Real Talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. Welcome, 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 everyone. And thank you guys for hanging out with us this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Hey, everyone who is watching us on Facebook, did you know that you can head on over to YouTube? And when you do, please hit that subscribe button. There will be more things that we will be doing on our YouTube channel, so I don't want any of you guys to miss not one event. All right, well, we are coming back into our conversation, and in the studio, who has just joined us is Lisa McNair. How are you, Lisa? Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show. How are you? You're still on mute. Can't hear you.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I thought that was muted. Sorry.
It happens to the best of us.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Don't feel bad, Lisa. We've had other folks do the same thing, so you're not alone.
Okay, good.
Well, listen, while I got you on, and I got all three of you guys on, oh my goodness, we had such a wonderful time yesterday for our pre-show. And I told you, didn't I tell you guys? I said, now that is Level Up. So I just want to introduce everyone to Lisa. Mr. Scribe, can you do the honors of introducing our viewing audience to Lisa McNair?
Right on the spot. You know I don't have the bio ready, so I guess I'm gonna have to get some demerits. Well, you keep talking, Angee. I'll find the bio.
Okay. Well, listen, while he is looking for the bio, because you listen, Lisa, I want his voice to read your bio, okay? But what I would like to do is I would like to first of all thank the Vivians for coming on the show. You guys have blessed us beyond what you guys can ever imagine, and just sharing candidly your life growing up as being, children of the great C.T. Vivian. thank you guys. Is there anything that you would love for our viewing audience to know that what you guys are doing? Because what I always ask, turning your passion into your purpose. I definitely see that both of you guys are well on your way of taking your passion and presenting your purpose to our audience.
So is there anything I'd like to say to the audience? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Where can they find you? Where can they, get in contact with you if they would like to? Some of the things that you are doing with your life now that the viewing and listening audience would need to know.
Basicdiversity.com is where you can find us. We do diversity consulting and training. I would say just thing for the people to know is just always walk in love.
Yeah, always. And I think you're Charisse, I think you're ready. You're good to go. I know you're kind of going in and out. Where can everybody find you? Of course, you're at the Civil Rights Museum. Is that correct? I think she's still kind of going in and out. But that's definitely
I have the bio, Angee, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Well, that's definitely where you guys can find Charisse is at the Civil and Human Rights Museum located here in Atlanta. If you guys have any questions in regards to what we talked about, head on over to The Real Level Up on Facebook or on YouTube, and we'll be taking more of your questions and comments right there. So without further ado, we will go ahead and introduce Miss Lisa McNair.
Well, she's got an extensive bio, so I'll just hit on the high points.
You don't have to read all of it.
No, it's very impressive as I'm sitting here looking at it. So I will pick and choose. But the first part, I think, is needs to be heard. Public speaker, civil rights family member, and an activist. Birmingham native Lisa McNair is the oldest living daughter of Maxine and the late Chris McNair, who are the parents of Denise McNair. Denise is one of the 4 girls killed in the infamous 1963 bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama. Denise was the only child at the time of her death. Almost exactly 1 year from the day of Denise's murder, Lisa was born.
Wow, Lisa. Girl, welcome to the show. And I don't know. We did our pre-show. Kind of knew of each other. The Vivians, So I just wanted you guys to kind of talk about what we had talked about yesterday. Just and how close. Because people are always talking about 1 degree separation. I think that's where you guys were, because you guys had a mutual friend. Is that right?
I think so.
We had a story yesterday that you said make sure she tells that today.
Oh Lord, I'm trying to remember what was the story that I told. Jesus.
Well, y'all had a mutual friend that you guys knew from back in the day. And that story that you told, oh my goodness, Lisa, that was so, it was so funny. I was like, okay, Lisa, you gotta tell that story. Okay, if you don't remember, it's okay.
Oh, that's so embarrassing. I truly forgot. Oh Lord. Oh, Barbara Cross, who was Reverend Cross's daughter, who was a minister. We both knew Barbara Cross. Oh, Lord Jesus. I thought I was getting old. Help me, Lord.
We all are, Lisa. We all are getting old. Okay, no worries.
We all have those moments where, for whatever reason, it's right there, but for some reason, just can't get to it, and then something will trigger it. So you part of the club now, so we all family.
Oh, Lord. Well, I noticed that you guys like kind of knew, some people kind of in and around, but you guys never actually formally met until yesterday. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. That was my first time meeting them. Yeah.
Wow.
I did wonder if you guys were at there's a civil rights memorial. It's like a huge memorial with water that was done. Oh God, it was like 30 years ago. And it was in Montgomery. And so they invited all of the members of all the families who'd lost a loved one, and their names are etched around the memorial in Montgomery. And so everybody was there. So I met a lot of people there that I had only seen on TV. And I'm sure your dad was at that, and I don't know if you guys were there or remember being there. No.
I was. I don't think Charisse was either, but Dad was there. I remember the event.
Yeah.
And Dad being, but I wasn't there.
Yeah. I remember meeting. I never forget meeting. Daddy, he was in control over here, and so he just told us, "I'm gonna need you to have your stuff packed, and we're going to Montgomery for something." Everybody got to go. So you just got your stuff. Didn't nobody say why we went. That was the unveiling of the National Civil Rights Memorial, and everybody's going to be there. So we get there, we unpack, we go to this banquet, and we walk in the room, and I'm reading on the sign what it's about, and I was like, that's a big deal. And as I step into the room, I see Coretta Scott King. I was like, Kim, that's Coretta Scott King. And then I see Merle Evans. That's Medgar Evers' wife, Merle Evans. And then I see the Chaney Goodman and Swarno. I'm like, where are we again? What is this we doing? So I met a lot of people that day. That whole weekend was just kind of a blur because it was like, wow. Like Daddy could have given us
A heads up on it.
just a little.
Now look, well, those are the kind of those are the kind of things I love to hear because you just never know. Because what it was, as we had talked about before, Lisa, back then you did exactly what your mom and dad said to do, and we had talked about, there are some things that even Al had spoke about that his dad had said he didn't get it until later. So there's some things that sometimes we just need to do it, just be obedient, because the revelation will come in the 9th hour or the 11th hour, what I mean? So I just want to talk about, as I did with the Vivians, Lisa, just what it was like, growing up, as a McNair. Now let me just tell some people like how you came about on this show. All right, Lisa McNair, her family is a good family friend of ours. And I remember as a little girl, okay, so Al, I got a little girl story too, right? So Lisa would come over to the house, and we didn't think anything of it because Lisa would show up, and look, we would always, when we have like an extra plate, okay, Lisa here, just give her the extra plate and just keep on, because we were a family of 6 girls. So with Lisa coming over to the house, what's 7? So, and that's how my mom even, just what's one more? so not knowing, anything beyond that, because I'm the little sister, Al, as you were the little sister to Charisse. I was a little sister to my sister Rhonda, and they were great friends. And in fact, oh my gosh, how long had y'all known? Y'all had met each other, what, in 9th, 10th grade, Lisa?
Well, now me and Rhonda, we met as debutantes in our senior year of high school. That whole debutante thing. We had all those classes about how to sit up and stand and walk and all that crap. And and so then we decided, we're talking there, that we would be roommates at the University of Alabama. And so that's how. But by that time, we had left the University of Alabama for different reasons, and we were back home. And I went to Sardis Baptist Church. It was right down the street from where y'all lived. And your mom and daddy, y'all just were wonderful. Because I would just leave church, no matter what day I was at church, and I'm going to go see Rhonda and them. And just just walk in, hey, I ring the doorbell. I know I didn't call. And your mom, yeah, you ain't got to call. You just come on in. And I took that to heart. And I just would show up anytime. Your mom was so sweet to have just let me in, an interloper. If my mother knew how many times I went to y'all's house without calling first, she would just be devastated. But it was great. I had the best time with y'all. It was either all y'all were there or parts of y'all were there. and it was just the best. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Well, with six sisters, you guys, it was always something going on, and we had this huge house in the Bush Hill area, and it never fails because if Rhonda had friends coming over, my sister Tracy, it's all of us. All of us had friends coming over, so my mom was always used to having kids at the house. And so, with all of that said, I I just wanted to share with everybody just how candid you and your family were and how close we were. And then as we grew up, how things are going these days. Listen, Lisa, we touched on this, and I definitely want to touch it with you as well, as far as how our living is going on in our in our climate these days. I want to get your take on that. But before I do that, I'm always asking, what was it like growing up a McNair? What was it like? Just talk about, who you were at 10 years old.
Well, growing up knowing that your sister was killed by white people who hated you just because of the color of your skin is my first memory. So, that started it out. So that's kind of a crazy place to start and to know. And it kind of puts you on the defensive, not all the time, because you never know where you're going to be attacked. I mean, you have to kind of watch your back all the time. You don't know. You're a target. You literally are a target. So you had that going on. And then, but my parents, super, super awesome people. They made sure that we had a very open life. We got to meet all kinds of people. And I think that's just a testament to their faith that they didn't hate. They didn't carry that. They didn't they didn't show us that. And what a lot of people don't know is my dad didn't go to 16th Street with my mom and Denise. I don't know why they couldn't figure out how one house need to be under one head and go to one church. But that's for another show. Anyway, so Daddy went to a small Lutheran church called St. Paul Lutheran, a real small church,
Okay.
maybe 200-300 members, except for all of them were black except for 5 people. The pastor, his wife, and their 3 kids were white. So Pastor Elwanger and his wife were at our house all the time, and we were at their house all the time. And my dad was an elder in that church. So that gave us the immediate understanding that all white people were not evil. All white people were not mean and hateful, and some of them had our backs. So that was a great blessing. Maybe that's why God didn't have them both go to the same church, because he needed to have that example in our lives to be able to be seen. But it's just always been a little, at first it was just real weird, because it's like people would see you in the street, and when they found out who you were, oh, you're the McNair, like you're famous for having done something. I don't have a major record or anything like that. You get famous for just somebody died, So that part was always real weird to how to navigate in that. And then now it's just become really important that I share that story so that people can change, so their hearts can change. So what it was like has morphed over the years.
And I remember that. I remember growing up, just you and your sister just being, who you guys were, daughters of your parents and friends of our family. And you didn't do anything, out of the ordinary. And in fact, you guys were trying your best to live an ordinary life. But when you are kind of, thrust into, the spotlight as it is, because I don't know, you and all 3 of you guys can talk about this. It seems as though now, these days, that people are starting to really understand and really embrace the civil rights movement and why they did what they did. Because now we have to get to a point of getting to peaceful protests as opposed to what we saw in January 6th. I just want to kind of get any of you all's take on that statement.
And I know the Vivians may think this too. I think the 50th anniversaries in the last 7 or 8 years of a lot of different key moments has helped bring that back to the forefront. I think it kind of was at a peak here, and then as time went on, it went down. But as the 50th anniversary came back, for so many people who didn't know about it, it was new history, but it was old history. And for people
Right.
who had heard about it, they were like, oh, wow, that hadn't happened and this hadn't happened. Like there'd never been a monument to the girls up in that before that time. But at the 50th anniversary of the bombing, citizens got together and developed a great monument to the girls. But it was 50 years later. So
Wow.
I think all these 50th anniversaries have helped people to recognize the movement and what it was and what its benefits were.
Wow. Yeah, I want to get you all stage. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Mrs. Scribe. Go ahead.
No. I was going to also say too, with technology being what it is today, there's really no excuse for not knowing where you can Google. There's museums. The internet is a wealth of information. And me being a black man, there's so many things I had no idea that I've learned by going on the internet and just typing in the keyword and just getting the history. My grandparents, when they were alive, gave me some of the history of different things and then some of my curiosity. But that's where, to me, there's no way you should not know because it's so easy to put your finger on it.
Unmute.
Thank you.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I think as our demographics continue to shift also, there's being more attention because there has to be, because our numbers are growing. And actually, our numbers aren't growing. African Americans, Latinos numbers, and Asians numbers are growing. African American numbers are pretty stagnant. They're not changing much. Whites, percentage-wise, whites numbers are going down. Latinos and Asians going up. And I think that as the demographics continue to shift, and there are more people of color than there ever have been before, percentage-wise and raw numbers, that American society has to look at things in a much deeper way than they had before. And you're starting to see like people coming into public office in ways they had never had before as well. So people are starting to push for more change. Social media has helped a lot as well.
Oh gosh, yeah, and I totally get what you guys are saying about social media. I wanted to kind of throw that back to Charisse. I hope you're able to answer that question because you're at the museum. Are there some things that they are doing at the museum at this point in time that will be virtual to keep the the information that you guys have there out in the forefront?
Yes, you can always go to the National Center for Civil and Human Rights online or virtual. You can tour the whole area virtual, the whole museum virtually.
Okay. Cool. Ain't that cool? And what we'll do, Charisse, we'll get that information from you so we can put it in our chat so everybody that's looking and watching this show from around the world. Yeah, with everything that is going virtual, like Mr. Scribe is saying, I mean, there's no excuse. There's no excuse for you not knowing. It's just that, do you want to put the time into it? Not only that, don't just go off of research. Start having the conversations. And Lisa, that's what we were talking about earlier before you came on, is having those really heavy conversations, because we as Generation X, we have people that we can sit at the dinner table now. We sit at the dinner table of the rainbow. I do have a white, Latino, Asian friend that I can speak to and speak very candidly because of the relationship that I have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's really important, especially with our Caucasian friends. I can't tell you how many of them started calling me after George Floyd. And the first question was, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I'm thinking, I still ain't quite figured out why they was asking me why was I okay. Right. It's like, that was the same stuff, different day. I've seen it all my life, so it was new to them. But I think we have to continue to educate them and help them to understand that this is real and this is something that basically never really ended. It just got covered up. And I think I've shared books and documentaries they should watch. But, they've got to change their hearts as well. And talking to them about that will help.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Mr. Scribe. I know we got to head on over and take a break. When we come back, you guys, we'll have more conversation with Lisa McNair. Thank you, Lisa, for popping in on this conversation right here. You're listening and watching Level Up, Real Talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. We'll be right back.
Yeah. You already know. Yeah. I might have took a L, but my future's still looking well. They thought that I would fail, but my future's still looking well. You can still look and see no weapon formed will prevail. I'ma still see heaven even though I went through hell. Elementary show and tell, look at what God did. Was a struggle, now I'm taking off like a rocket. Ain't gonna stop it, I know I'm blessed. And they think I'm by myself, but you know the rest. You know the rest, you don't know the stress. Don't know the stress that I've been through. Everything I've been through, cut like a Ginsu. Heartbreak, disappointment, backstabbing friends too. No money, rent's due, sleeping out the car. Embarrassed as a man, still reaching for the stars. I might have took a L, but my future's still looking well. They thought that I would fail, but my future's still looking well. You can still look and see no weapon formed will prevail. I'ma still see heaven even though I went through hell. I might have took a L, but my future's still looking well. The sky was the limit, but I'm reaching for the stars. I don't smoke, don't drink, you won't catch me by the bar, baby. Why you had to go and break my heart, baby? Wounds hurt, peeling back a scar, baby. Maybe I'll understand later. I understand greater days are coming ahead, but I know that I gotta press through to the end. And I know he's the only one that you can depend on. You can depend on, you can depend on. I'ma make a touchdown. I'm in the end zone, I'm in the win zone. Losing's not an option, thought that I would quit, but he pulled me through the process. I never thought I would've made it, I thought my future faded. He pulled me out the worst just to show me who the greatest. I know the pain hurts, lost, but I gain first. Solace that I'm breaking free, watch out a chain burst. Yeah, I might have took a L, but my future's still looking well. Still looking well. They thought that I would fail, but my future's still looking well. You can still look and see no weapon formed will prevail. I'ma still see heaven even though I went through hell. I might have took a L, but my future's still looking well. Still looking well, still looking well. Still looking well, 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 still looking well. You can still look and tell, no weapon will prevail. Still looking well, even through the pain, rain, hurt, sorrow. Took a look at tomorrow and I see it still looking well. I will never quit, I will never quit, no. Enter to the end, enter to the end though. Everything trying to stop, everything trying to block. I gotta knock down the walls like I'm digging for water. It's still looking well. I might have took a L, but my future's still looking well. Still looking well. They thought that I would fail, but my future's still looking well. You can still look and see no weapon formed will prevail. I'ma still see heaven even though I went through hell. I might have took a L, but my future's still looking well. Still looking well, looking well. Still looking well.
Have you been sluggish, bloated, overweight? You could be toxic from your environment, food, and medications. It's time for a clean start. Come by or book online today.
Introducing Rain Premium Sanitary Napkin. Rain has an innovative design that is made with a strip infused with Nobel Prize-winning material, graphene. The infused graphene strip may provide various health benefits that potentially help relieve painful abdominal cramps, help balance the body's pH, help eliminate harmful bacteria, help with aroma, help fight fatigue, boost metabolism, boost immune system. Graphene moves heat away from your core and contains vibrational energy.
In this test, we will add water to the graphene strip and then place a 7-watt light bulb onto the strip to demonstrate the level of energy contained. These medical claims have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. All results may vary. Protect the most precious jewel in the world, you. For more information, contact the person who referred you to this video. Rain is exclusively designed by Jewel Sanitary Napkins, LLC.
It's Dr. Morgan. Time to level up. Every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m. We look forward to having you tune in.
Hi, this is George Vincent.
And Rick Irvin.
And we are the Heavenly Deposit Team, and
we need you to level up.
Hey, this is your girl, Joanna Hill McGill, Walmart's first Next Gospel Superstar winner. I need you to level up.
Hey, this is Gina A. Towns on Real Talk that takes you higher. Level up. Ordinary people with extraordinary stories.
Hey, this is Jonathan Graham from Black Out the Box, and you're listening to Angee from the B, Mr. Scribe and Robin from NYC. Level up every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m.
And welcome back to Level Up, Real Talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. Welcome, 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 everyone. And thank you guys for hanging out with us this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Hey, if you are watching us on Facebook, did you know that you can head on over to YouTube? All you have to do is look for us, The Real Level Up. That's The Real Level Up on YouTube as well. We are doing a simulcast both on YouTube and on Facebook. So if you have any of your family and friends that don't have Facebook, you can always send them over to The Real Level Up on YouTube as well. And let me tell you this, Lisa, we got several people. You know how you can throw your video from your phone onto your television. Mm-hmm. We got folks watching this like a television show.
That's cool.
Isn't that cool? That is so cool. So we have several people I just want to give a shout out to that is continuing watching. There is Marcia Wilkinson who said, congratulations as friend of your sister Denise for almost 55 years. You were always the baby sibling, and I see you as a grown-up now, following in your dad's footsteps, your other sister. Oh, man. Oh, and as and there is Cynthia Jones, who was talking about the Vivians before they left. They actually had to take off, you guys. What they're going to do is send their information where you guys can find them. So head on over to The Real Level Up on Facebook as well as YouTube if you want to find more information about where they are and how you can get in contact with them. But we had Cynthia Jones that said, to my beautiful cousins, I love you and may God bless as you continue your journey. Keep up the legacy and appreciate all of you. Oh, my gosh. And to you, Miss Lisa McNair, there is a Judge Martha Cook. Thank you to the Vivian siblings And hello to Lisa McNair. Do you know her? You know her, Lisa? Well, welcome, everyone. And please hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel so that you can always stay in contact when we are going live. Well, actually, even when we're not live, we will always put up something on Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here at The Real Level Up. Welcome, everyone. Go ahead, Mr.
Just want to say real quick, just to thank all our independent music artists. So the music that you hear during our breaks are independent artists that are faith-based artists. So they're getting the opportunity to get exposure on our platform. And if you listen to the songs, the messages are always positive and uplifting, giving glory to our God.
Oh, yeah.
They're awesome. They are awesome.
Oh, girl. I mean, Lisa, we have ran into so many artists since, the inception of the show. And when we made the decision, because Lisa, let me tell you, you probably already know this, girl. If I got one more time saying that we cannot play these music because we're in violation of copyrights, when we went independent artists, and let me tell you, the independent artist is look, for all of you guys who follow your independent artists, you guys are true diehard fans, and you just only want the best for your independent artists, making sure that they at least get some sort of exposure. And Lisa, we have met so many great independent artists that just hadn't had the opportunity to be on, regular, which is called terrestrial radio. You know so?
Well, they're fantastic. Yeah. They are
Thank
fantastic.
You. Oh, I had to let them know. Lisa said. Well, Lisa, this is just the three of us. I just want to go, kind of circle back, into a conversation about your family. I mean, Lisa, wow, girl, when you, me, and Rhonda talked, we were just talking like family members. Hadn't, really thought about anything. But as you said in the previous, before we went to our break, it's very important that we do get the message back out again.
And, you said Martha Cook said hi. Martha is a friend of mine that I met recently when I joined this board of this organization called the Morgan Project. And the Morgan Project, our goal is to, be about diversity and end racism. But how we're going to do that is working on a curriculum so that his school books and high school students, elementary school students we're changing the curriculum to add Black history and civil rights into the curriculum. So it's a nonprofit, so support us, morganproject.org, but that is what we do. And so it's new. It came about from the George Floyd murder after that. And I think that's a huge key part of what needs to happen. These lessons are not being taught in schools. And I learned so many things when I went on the Sojourn to the Past trip, which is another nonprofit that takes students through the South on a 7-day journey to learn about the civil rights movement. I went in my late 30s, and there were like lessons they taught and people I met that I didn't know. To be truthfully honest, I really didn't know who T.C. Vivian was until I went on that trip and saw him on the video and they explained it. I had seen that dude, but I didn't know who he was for real. And so I think that's so important. And many of the kids on this trip coming from Sojourn are not Black. They're Asian or they're white. Most of them are, or Pacific Islanders, because it's from San Francisco, based in San Francisco. And they have grown learning about the lessons that these people, how they fought nonviolently in a Christian way, and how to be strong and deal with the traumas in their personal lives through learning about the civil rights movement. So these lessons are just not for Black people. They're for white people. They're for Asian people. They're for Pacific Islanders. They're for Jewish people. They're for Americans because it's American history. So it's our shared American history, and it needs to be taught and updated and be current. It should show all of America, not just the founding fathers in 1776, but the black people that was involved in 1776 all the way on down the line, because we are Americans, all of us. It's a collective. We're the United States of America for a reason.
And I think that that's the narrative, or at least the narrative is that it's a crayon box with many colors. It's a rainbow of many colors. I write poetry, so I used to use a lot of analogies, and that's the way it should be taught. Yes, it should be an African American community, but it should be just like the Bible. The Bible's not for one specific people. The Bible's for everybody. So this should be the same model. This should be modeled after the word, because we're people of faith.
Yes, that's right. Exactly.
Well, I mean,
yeah, when Jesus coming back, he's not coming for the white people on one bus, and the colored people on another bus, and Hispanic people on another bus. The Bible said we're going to heaven. Didn't say black heaven, white heaven, Hispanic heaven, Asian heaven. And we going to heaven. Okay, and everybody gonna be there having a good time praising one Jesus.
One
That's the
God.
narrative, and that's the narrative that we have to explain.
Yes.
That's the narrative we have to explain when we're on this side, is that you're doing all this hate and doing all these things. What do you think it's going to be like on the other side? Do you think it's going to be like this, where everybody's segregated and you're the number one people? That's the part. But again, we know what it goes back to. Being believers, we know where this comes from. S-I-N. That's what started this whole situation. And we know, being believers, how we get redeemed. And on top of that, we know what the future's going to be. So we already can open up a book. Oh, this is what's going to happen. So I don't have to feel defeated. I don't have to feel, I can struggle with that. But I know at the end of the day, if I do the things that I need to do, we're going to be elevated to a place of prominence when it comes to serving him. So that's the hope. And that's what I cling to when I get depressed, when I look at things what I saw last Wednesday, and having people spew hate and all this strife and all of this division, because I know God is going to swoop in and resolve all of it.
Right. Exactly.
And really, Lisa, I wanted you to reiterate, just how you grew up with your mom and dad, with them not having hatred in their heart. That's hard to even fathom in of itself. Because I know some people that are sitting here listening to the show, like, hey, if that was my, the thought process, hey, if that was my daughter killed in a senseless murder, I'm gonna have this hatred in my heart. And they didn't. They really didn't. They just as they were being icons in the community of Birmingham, they led the way of what true forgiveness really looked like. Because if anybody could even fathom losing a child to a senseless murder, and the way that your mom and dad just loved up on people, no matter the color, they were just all about healing. They were trying to not just heal the community of Birmingham, because Birmingham at that time was woo. Even I remember some of the things. I remember some of the things as I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, and coming out of there in the 90s. I remember thinking to myself, I don't want to be in this town. Always, like you said, always kind of looking over my shoulder, wondering, what are the things that you see in me that is just based on how I look, not the content of my character.
Yeah, they were very good at just mentoring that for us, mirroring that for us, the love and the, and I think that was because, particularly Daddy, he had a relationship with Pastor Elwanger. That was his friend. And white dude who was also very active in the movement. And then he went on to have other friends. Then when he became a state legislator,